has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, do not delay. You shall settle in the land of Goshen, and you shall be near me, you and your children and your children's children, as well as your flocks, your herds, and all that you have. I will provide for you there, since there are 5 more years of famine to come, so that you and your household and all that you have will not come to poverty. And he kissed all his brothers and wept upon them. And after that, his brothers talked with him. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Reading from Psalm 37 responsibly. Do not be provoked by evildoers. Do not be jealous of those who do wrong.
For they shall soon wither like grass, and like the green grass fade away.
Put your trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and find safe pasture.
Delight in the Lord, who shall give you your heart's desires.
Commit your way to the Lord. Put your trust in the Lord and see what God will do.
The Lord will make your vindication as clear as the light, and your justice of your ways like the beams of snow.
Be still before the Lord and wait patiently. Do not be provoked by the one who prospers, the one who succeeds in evil schemes.
Refrain from anger, be afraid alone. Do not be provoked, it leads only to evil.
For evildoers shall be cut off, but those who hope in the Lord shall possess the land.
In a little while the wicked shall be no more. Even if you search out for help, it will not be there.
But the lowly shall possess the land. They will delight in abundance of peace.
The deliverance of the righteous comes from you, O Lord. You are a stronghold in time of trouble.
You, O Lord, will help them and rescue them. You will rescue them from the wicked and deliver them, because in you they seek refuge. A reading from Paul's first letter to Corinthians. But someone will ask, how are the dead raised? With what kind of body do they come? Fool, what you sow now does not come to life unless it dies. And as for what you sow, you do not sow the body that is to be, but a bare seed, perhaps of wheat or of some other grain. But God gives it a body as he has chosen, and to each kind of seed its own body. So it is with the resurrection of the dead. What is sown is perishable. What is raised is imperishable. It is sown in dishonor. It is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power. It is sown a physical body. It is raised a spiritual body. If there is a physical body, there is also a spiritual body. Thus it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam became a life-giving spirit. But it is not the spiritual that is first, but the physical, and then the spiritual. The first man was from the earth, a man of dust. The second man is from heaven. As was the man of dust, so are those who are of the dust. And as is the man of heaven, so are those who are of heaven. Just as we have borne the image of the man of dust, we will also bear the image of the man of heaven. What I am saying, brothers and sisters, is this. Flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, nor does the perishable inherit the imperishable. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
said, but I say to you that listen, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you. And if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask them again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies, do good, and lend, expecting nothing in return. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken up, running over, will be parted to your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. Please be seated. Jacob was loved by God. He was named Israel. Jacob would be the one who all people would come after. They would be named the people of Jacob. Jacob had one daughter and 12 sons. The 12 sons who would become the 12 tribes of Israel. But amongst those 12 sons, Jacob had a favorite. His favorite was Joseph. Joseph was one who could do no wrong. Joseph was the one who was always in trouble with his brothers. You know, that sibling that always is the one, that favorite one? Because Joseph was the one that would go back and tell on his brothers. If there was something that went out in the pasture, Joseph always went back and told his dad. Joseph was not very popular amongst his brothers. He was considered that little brat. And it got even worse when Joseph had a dream. He had a series of dreams. And in these dreams, his brothers would bow down to him. You can about imagine how well that went over with the brothers. The brothers were scheming on how to get rid of Joseph and get rid of that fancy coat that his father gave him. Well, one day they were in the fields a long ways away, and they were out there tending their sheep, and Jacob told Joseph, go out and check on your brothers and see how they're doing, and come back and report into me. Well, they really didn't like that at all, so they plotted, let's just kill him. And we'll take his coat, and we'll put some blood on it, and we'll say, well, you know, Dad, we did everything we could to save him. But all that's left is this coat. Well, as they thought about it a little more, they said, well, you know, it's not the greatest thing to kill your brother. So maybe we'll just throw him in the bottom of this well, and we'll just leave him down there. So when Joseph got out there, the brothers threw him into a well. And while he's down there kind of screaming, they're up top having their picnic. And suddenly a caravan comes by. One of them gets the idea and says, you know, maybe we can just sell him as a slave. Well, before they had a chance to do that, another group came along, rescued him, and sold him to yet another. And there were the brothers, left with just a robe, no money, no Joseph, and what were they to do? They went back, told their father that again a wild animal had gotten Joseph, and all they had was this robe that was covered with blood. Years went by. Many things transpired in the Old Testament, the book of Genesis. The story goes on for many chapters. But eventually there was a famine in the land. And Jacob said, we got to do something. Go down to Egypt and see if we can get some food. Well, as the brothers went down to Egypt, they came to the Pharaoh's house and they said, we need some food. And there was a lot of conversation, other things that went on. But eventually, the person that was giving out the food said, men, I am your brother Joseph. That one you sold into slavery. That one you tried to kill. That one that you were trying to get rid of forever. I am here, and I'm in charge of the food. Gosh, what would you do if you were Joseph and you had your brothers at your mercy? Joseph reached out his hands. He embraced them. He fed them. And with the goodwill of Pharaoh, they were given prime land in Egypt, land that they would live on forever. At this point, Joseph loved his enemies, his brothers, and they were reconciled, at least to some point. Jesus told the crowd, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. These are tough words, tough to hear. And we really struggle with that, just as like we were talking to kids today. Man, these just words almost make us cringe. Because I'm not sure about you, but I fall into that second camp. I can love those people that love me. I can do good for those people who do good to me. I can be nice to people who like me. But that's not enough. Jesus' demands are high. So I said this is the second part of the reading we had last week, where we hear, blessed are the poor, those who mourn, those who are hungry, those who are persecuted because of Jesus. And why are they blessed? Because they realize they are fully reliant on God. There is nothing they can do on their own. So why does Jesus call us to do what seems to be impossible, to love our enemies? Jesus calls us to do it because we can't do it on our own. It is God's work. We can only love our enemies because God loves us first. And God loves everyone just the way they are. No matter how mad we get about that, no matter how much we say, God, you can't possibly love that person. I don't think they're any good. God doesn't listen to us. God loves anyway. And what does this look like? I came across these three things this week. Thomas Merton was an American mystic in the 60s. He said, our job is to love others without stopping to inquire of whether they are worthy. I know I always think about that in the back of my mind. I don't know, are they worthy of my love? Should I invest any time in them? Merton says that's not the deal. We also hear that people grow when they are loved well. If you want to love others, love them without an agenda. Ooh, is that tough as well? Because oftentimes they say, yes, I can love you if you start to think like me, if you start to act like me? If, and we put those on there. Then we think of our friend Eeyore, who we find out is kind of depressed. You know, he's always moping around. He looks like the kind of guy we say, boy, is he going to be a burden. But you know, Eeyore is invited to every party. He's always there. He's always part of the group, regardless of how grumpy and moaning and everything else he is. Eeyore is loved without exception. He is just shown love. There was once a man standing on a cold, windy train platform. It was a nasty day, and if you've ever been on a train platform in the city, boy, are they cold, the wind howls. And while he was up there, a young man came by and stole his coat. The man chased after him, and he found that young thug. He took his coat back, and he realized that all that young man was wearing was a t-shirt. They looked each other in the eyes for a moment, and something happened. The man invited the young boy into the diner that was right next door, and at least bought him a cup of soup. And as they were sitting there, that man listened to the young guy's story. He listened to understand. Yes, he was angry. Yes, he was furious. But he took time to listen. And the young man took time to listen to the old man as well. And over time they realized that at the beginning of that day they hated each other. That young guy saw the guy with the coat as just a rich you-know-what. And the guy saw the thief as just a young thug. But as they got to know each other, they realized the burdens that they carried. They realized that they did have something in common. They may not have been best friends at that point, but they learned to respect each other. They learned to talk to one another, and they learned to listen to one another. They had heard the words of Jesus, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. For we hear the words of Christ, love one another as I have loved